for now we speak of physics. Let me give you some history. Let me tell you about a conundrum. Let me tell you what science has done with the conundrum. Then let me tell you some things that we have never said before. It's a beautiful law, it is. And Newton designed it. It is a law that is responsible for all of the orbital mechanics in your solar system. Explains them all, it does. It is the second law of Newton. It is a description. Careful, my partner, go slowly. It is a description in its fundamental formulation of force, matter, and acceleration. And these fundamentals explain the movements of the planets, the movements and inertia of motion on all parts of the earth so well that it's responsible for the calculations of you sending satellites up, ships throughout the solar system, all of the math so centered around Newton's second law. It works. And if you've noticed in your own solar system, and if you're into astronomy, you will see what Newton saw. And that is that the planets which are further away from the gravitational influence of the sun travel slower. And that the planets that are closer to the sun because of the influence and the orbital mechanics and the force, matter, and acceleration formula travel faster. And this holds true and has held true until your science discovered some problems. The first thing that raised its head was when the particles became too small, the law broke down. It didn't follow the rules anymore. When you got into atomic structure, it was different. This was actually the reason for the birth of the quantum physics, the explanation of the small and the very small, and the theories that would go with it. And it was okay. It was okay with science. They said when things get super small, there has to be a difference. Not only that, human beings have the ability to experiment with the super small, with their atomic accelerators, where their protons and antiprotons, colliding them at almost the speed of light to see what happens, to see what the particles are. They could experiment with it. They could get the laws of small particle physics. And even if it didn't match Newton's second law, it was okay, because after all, you weren't dealing with planets and stars. It was okay. Until recently, when they started looking at the very big. Galaxies don't work that way. Recently, within the last decade, as the optics of the telescopes became better and better, they discovered the pieces and parts of galaxies could be seen rotating around the center. And to their shock, they discovered that they were in what is called a flat rotation mode. For me to explain this to you, go slowly, my partner. If you were to take a disc and put some pebbles upon the disc, close and far from the fulcrum or the center, and then gently rotate the disc, you will notice that all of the particles you put on the disc rotate in tandem together, keeping their influence with each other in the same perspective. They don't move. One does not go faster than the other at all. That is called disc rotation, and that is what galaxies basically do. Suddenly, Newton's second law doesn't work. Works for solar systems, doesn't work for galaxies. And so the answer was this. In the mathematics, they said, something is creating an energy we cannot see, which is pushing upon the matter in a way that is messing up Newton's law. We don't know what it is, but we cannot see it. It is unseen energy creating this system, which we now are realizing is there. There's energy we cannot see, therefore it's in the dark, and it's got to be dark matter. Dark matter isn't really dark matter. It is the scientific definition. Go slow, my partner. For missing energy. That's all it is. Something is pushing and pulling in ways that do not follow the orbital mechanics of the classic Newton's law. How can that be? Now the conundrum is there. The very small doesn't work well. The very big doesn't work well. Your solar system seems to be fine. Somebody's working on this right now. Newton had an assistant who was very involved in his work, helped him a lot, he did. Esoteric it is. The assistant is alive today, and he's an astronomer, of course. And he's very close to figuring this out. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to do my best to give this to my partner in a succinct way so that you will understand the physics. This has never been revealed in this fashion. You're close to discovery. It's in the ethers. I am not giving you anything that human free choice is not going to discover on its own. It's in the ethers. It is delivered to you. It is ready for you to find this. Physicists, but you're going to run up against a whole lot of resistance. And I'll tell you why. Because you're going to have to rewrite and add unto the four forces of the universe. As known by physics, I will give you the names of the four forces and what they're called. I will not explain them, for this is not the venue for that. Listen to what the scientists have said are the only four forces that control everything. The first is gravity. This is known as a weak force. The second is electromagnetics. This is known as the strong force. They are a pair. And the next two, one is known as the weak nuclear force. The fourth is known as the strong nuclear force. Those four supposedly are responsible for everything that happens. And now suddenly there is a conundrum. There's missing energy. Does that not tell you perhaps those four forces might be six? And they are. I want you to take a look at nature. On your planet, take a look at nature. Almost everything comes up in the factors of 12. Mathematician, you know what the factors of 12 are. The most common factors of 12 that you see in nature are 3, 4, and 6. When you crystallize water on its own, it comes up with 6 arms. The crystallization formations are base 12, or the factors of 12. We have told you for many, many years that the elegant science of physics should be base 12. It is an interdimensional math that comes up with a zero that doesn't mean nothing or infinity. A zero means the potentials of all the answers probable. It's not an empirical math. And yet this math will bring you some realizations when you get it. For instance, does it make sense to you that one of the most profound equations that you have, being that of the circle, which you have called pi, is an irrational number? It goes forever. Does that make sense? We happen to know that on one of your spacecraft, to communicate with anybody who might find it, you put that number, pi, right on the chart on the spacecraft. It's like a communication in math. In case any intelligent life force should find it, they would then say, oh, you have pi. You must be intelligent. Let me tell you what an intelligent society will know when they see that. They will look at it and they go, these people are flying in space. They don't even have base 12. Look what they think pi is. They must still be in base 10. There's got to be 6 forces. And there is. And before I tell you what the other 2 are, and I give them attributes, not names, because they will be named according to what science wishes to name them, and they will then explain dark matter. Oh, listen to this. There's a difference between a galaxy and a solar system. A big one. Newton, listen up. At the middle of a solar system is ordinary mass. No matter how big or how small the sun is in any solar system, it represents ordinary mass. When you get into the giant systems such as galaxies, that's where the magic is, and that is where the discoveries are. Years ago, we told you what was in the middle of each galaxy that would cause the rotation. Even before it was notated in science, we said there is something in the middle that's interdimensional, a black hole. Some years ago, we then gave you the rest of the story. We said there are twins in the middle of each galaxy. There are 2 attributes. One you call the black hole, and one you cannot see. They are a push-pull system of interdimensional energy. The missing piece of the forces of the universe and the energy that surges back and forth. Now stay with me. I'm going to give you some pictures in your mind for this. Let me tell you what happens when you have this kind of an interdimensional energy in the center. Newton's law no longer applies. It's not ordinary mass. This interdimensional energy has a cohesion to it. It creates a flat rotating galaxy because of its interdimensionalness. There is a whole set of laws that must be developed for a strong and a weak interdimensional force. You now have the 6. You have gravity, you have electromagnetics, you have strong and weak nuclear, and now you have number 5 and number 6, which are strong and weak interdimensional force. Here it comes, the interdimensional portions that the string theorists said are there.